Hi, my name is Matt Snow. I'm an experienced design manager for the XD Mobile and Devices team. I recently visited Punchcut, a user experience design company located right here in San Francisco. We talked about designing for mobile and television. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it gives you some insight into what it takes to design for these mediums.
My name is Jared Benson. I'm the Executive Creative Director at Punchcut and one of the founding partners.
I'm Christian Robertson. I'm the Visual Design Director here at Punchcut.
We're a user interface design company that specializes in next generation interfaces for mobile, television, and beyond. We see mobile as not a device, it's a lifestyle. And Punchcut's really committed to understanding people's changing lifestyles as these new technologies are introduced. It's no longer about, hey, I'm in this controlled setting where I'm sitting at a desk with a nice big monitor and I'm 2.5 feet away from the screen or whatever.
Right.
I mean, really designing for mobile is about understanding context and then designing a solution that's really going to allow them to use this thing while they're in a bus or under bright sunlight or these adverse conditions.
I know a lot of us started out in web design. If I'm a print designer or a web designer and I'm being asked to design these mobile applications, where do I start?
Designing for mobile is really not just taking an existing experience and shrinking it down.
You have some pretty severe limitations. You have to think about all of these features that are really important. How can I design something where users can access all of these features?
Really, it's asking those hard questions, and as a designer, exercising restraint to be able to say, okay, all this stuff doesn't have to fit here. What are users really needing?
Maybe there's an exercise context. What things you need when you're in a dead sprint, right? Well, maybe you want to switch the song. Well, how do you make it so that that thing is accessible easily in a context where you really have limited attention, right?
Yeah, that UI needs to be glanceable. When it comes to attention span, you have glancing, scanning, and reading. And to put it, the reading would be like focused attention where you're looking at the screen. Scanning would be more like making your way through lists and things. But glancing is those quick interactions that you need to just quickly be on the go. Just a quick tap of a button, a quick scan of a map. The genesis of Punchcut's name comes from punch cutter, the people that used to carve type from lead. We've had some opportunities to do some custom type work that go onto mobile devices and that actually work in a glanceable situation. A typical project for us will be designing a UI system or a framework that's going to go across an entire company's suite of devices that they have. And some of those are touch-based and other ones aren't. There is no one-size-fits-all, but what there is you do seek to try to create a consistency of what the user will be expecting.
When you're on a phone, you're dealing sometimes with 200 megahertz processors. How do you factor in those type of constraints into what you guys are building?
We typically design for an optimal set, and that's where we'll bring in motion transitions, and that's where we'll bring in the effects we want, and really go for the ideal. We may be getting 24 frames per second on the marquee device, but down here, the mass market device, might only be able to get 6 frames a second or less.
The temptation is to take a lowest common denominator thinking approach to it, and so you'll see people, and this is especially true on the mobile web, and they'll say, okay, we can't do any kind of color, or all it's going to be is text and these links, and what happens is that you end up with the worst experience on the best device.
What we're seeking to do is trying to create the ideal experience on each platform or each device. It's way too easy to say you do mobile and be working on screen only. There's no substitute for getting a device, an experience that you design onto a mobile device. Before Device Central, it used to be that you would design something on screen and you really never truly knew until it got onto the device.
It's a way to immediately get a feeling of what it's like, and then of course to be able to take something from Device Central right to a device is really easy.
Technologies like Flash have been really useful to be able to very quickly take an interaction that we're playing with and build a rudimentary prototype.
We talk a lot about vectors of innovation at Adobe. One of the vectors is device and desktop, and it's really talking about mobile first and designing for mobile applications first. Well, that plays into a second vector of innovation, which is client and cloud computing. So as people start to have more and more screens, they're going to expect their content to follow them around wherever they go. How are you thinking about the cloud and about information that's stored on the cloud?
We're really kind of pushing to, as designers, start thinking more about platforms than just products. So as users are experiencing these experiences on devices, on televisions, on computers, what is it that ties them together? Well, it's the platform, it's the systems level thinking, both on a design level and on a what data services and support services happen in the cloud. Design is really the solution.
How do you guys think about how social networking is affecting mobile applications now?
You know, everybody already carries around a mini social network on their mobile phones, even if they're not connected to a popular service, and that's your address book. I think the opportunity in mobile, as it relates to social networking, is the ability to facilitate real-world meetups. I have my social network, Service X, piping into my mobile device, and now when I'm out and about, my mobile device can alert me to the fact that, hey, you have somebody from your social network around the corner from you right now at this cafe.
Does that play into your TV work at all?
Television is already such a shared experience in so many ways. Usually when you're sitting on a couch, you're sharing that watching with somebody right there. You come into work the next day and you talk about it. And so the question is, how can a connected TV experience start to bring that natural desire to share right into the experience of watching TV, to where it becomes a more participatory and a more shared experience with people who don't happen to be in the room with you at that time?
Recently, we partnered with a technology provider to create a high-definition television interface that uses a gestural control to be able to interact with that high-definition experience. There's an opportunity there to see who else might be watching that same show, pick up recommendations from someone who might be having similar interests. When you start thinking of that television as a large display, then it starts to open up the possibilities about what you can do with that large display in a common area of your home. To be clear, when Punchcut talks about mobile, we talk about mobile as not just a device, but as a whole lifestyle. We think of it as the TV, as the phone, as your laptop, as a portable media player. Maybe it's a game console. What's mobile is you. You're the one moving from thing to thing, and what we're hearing from users is that they're expecting a consistent experience across those devices and platforms. As technology becomes more and more pervasive in our lives, the ways we interact with these devices are going to feel more and more natural, more and more kind of humane as the technology recedes and really just our human connection comes forward.